Arguments with Mr. Williams, Miss Jackson decided it was time to bring this disgusting man to court so Judge Lauren could set him straight. Miss Jackson's tired of Mr. Williams not accepting responsibility for their daughter, Armani.
Mr. Williams knows this baby is his. He's been running for 9 months now.
So you say he's done nothing for the baby?
Nothing.
You haven't done anything, Mr. Williams?
No, Your Honor. This is not my baby. She knows she's sleeping around with other men, and she's trying to put a baby on me that's not mine.
In relationships like this, there's something always crazy happening. And here, it's when Mr. Williams reveals how Miss Jackson has a bad habit of sleeping with men whose names she doesn't even remember. But Miss Jackson has a different story to tell.
He contacted me on Facebook and asked me what was I doing. I told him I was just chilling. He said he was in the area. I told him to come through. So I got in the car with him. We went to talking, and one thing led to another. We had sex.
Just like that?
Just like that.
When Judge Lauren asks Mr. Williams if he had unprotected sex with this woman, he says everyone else did too. That's a crazy thing to say when you've got a child on your hands. But instead of claiming responsibility, guess what this dude does?
She been blowing my phone up. Blowing my phone out through the Facebook app because she never had my phone number. So,
Your Honor, after the fact of me telling him that my cycle was late, I contacted him again when I found out that I was actually pregnant. He blocked me on Facebook.
So what does Mr. Williams have to say about that? Once he blocked the poor woman on all social media, she had no choice but to make fake pages to contact him. After all, a pregnancy is no joking matter. But Mr. Williams ends up saying she was disrespecting his boundaries. This man sure has some guts.
the baby ain't much shit yet, and she talking about child support. I'm like, child support? And you just said you were pregnant? And she was talking to me, reason being, she stated that she had sex with another dude right the next day. Once she told me that, I said, why are you chasing me down about...
How did you find out she had sex with another man?
She told me.
Guess there's a lot of stuff that Miss Jackson's been hiding too. Did she think Judge Lauren wouldn't find out about her ridiculous affairs? She slept with another man right after she slept with Mr. Williams. And according to a little math, it's possible Armani's father could be either man.
Why is it you're choosing Mr. Williams?
Because this man hasn't gotten anyone pregnant and doesn't have any kids.
We have to go by the facts. And the fact is, if it has not been proven that the other man is unable to father children, then you can't say for certain that it is Mr. Williams' baby.
Now, even Judge Lauren is confused as it's revealed that while Miss Jackson thinks Mr. Williams is the father, she's been asking the other man for help. Meanwhile, it's Mr. Williams who has to pay child support. Even the entire audience goes into shock with this new crazy moment between the couple.
See, too often men come in this courtroom saying, well, why she named me? It's not that they are not equally involved in the situation, but as the woman, you know, if you had sex with more than one man in a window of conception, you have at least the moral obligation to be truthful with the child support office about that.
Judge Lauren has to end all the craziness, so she warns Miss Jackson about landing herself in multiple paternity issues. While Mr. Williams kept ignoring Miss Jackson, he was busy celebrating a baby shower with another woman. That's not fair to poor Armani, so Jerome should really bring out the results.
Mr. Williams, you are the father.
I told you.
You said you don't mind no child support, so we're not gonna have any problems.
It won't have no problems.
Good.
I apologize for everything dealing with the situation at hand. I'll make sure I take my responsibility as a man and take care of money.
Ms. Lopez and Mr. Cabajal were not doing Judge Lauren's nerves any good as they kept working her nerves that in court. Ms. Lopez was accusing the defendant of executing a DNA scam because he was trying to deny her kid's paternity. Ms. Lopez was tired of taking care of the kids by herself and was in court to prove Mr. Carbajal was in fact her baby daddy. On the other hand, Mr. Carbajal was not keen on Ms. Lopez's antics, as he definitely was insisting that she was lying about the paternity of the kids, and he was tired of taking care of them as it was ruining him.
Today, because you claim the defendant, Mr. Carbajal, allegedly perpetuated a DNA testing scam to try to deny paternity of your kids. You say you're tired of struggling daily to take care of your children alone, and you need to prove he's their biological father.
What came as a shock shocker was that Mr. Carbajal's big reason for thinking the kid wasn't his was because he had been born with a cleft on his lip, and nobody in his family had been born with the defect before in his family. And also because Ms. Lopez had sent him a picture of another man holding his baby. But Ms. Lopez says she only did that to get back at him, because he wasn't acting as a responsible father. Mr. Carbajal's sister had some very strong rebuttal for Ms. Lopez's assertions, and Judge Lauren wanted to hear it. Ms. Lopez also insisted continually that she hadn't slept with anybody else except Mr. Carbajal during her conception period.
You have an issue regarding the fact that he has a cleft lip. You say no one in your family's ever been born with that. So you believe he's not yours?
Your Honor.
She also sent me a picture of a man holding my baby.
Wait.
That was to get
Your
back
Honor.
at you
Why would
because
she
you're
send that?
not responsible.
In a very shocking twist that stunned everyone, the DNA results were out, and it turned out that Ms. Lopez had been lying to the whole court. Judge Lauren sets off on her calling out her bad behavior, and she starts crying. But this makes Judge Lauren angrier, as she believed Ms. Lopez had no reason to cry after making everyone so miserable because of her deceit. Judge Lauren does not hold back on calling her a liar and shuts Mr. Carbajal up when he tries to interrupt her speech. She definitely had time for everybody.
Were you intimate with anyone else?
No, Your Honor, I was not.
Mr. Carbajal, do you believe you were the only man she was having sex with?
I don't know that. See, I don't know if she would sleep with me. I had sex the first night I seen her. She could have done with the same thing with any other guy because we met off a social network.
So, Ms. Lopez, what do you have to say to that?
She would have had to get pregnant in November.
Anybody else.
In November.
Ms. Renfrew was in court claiming that Mr. Tuzzi was her baby's father, and she was 100% certain that this was the case. She strongly believed this because her 6-month-old son had a genetic condition which could only have been passed down by Mr. Tuzzi.
Ms. Renfrew, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant.
Mr. Tuzzi, however, was certain he was not the baby's father, even though Ms. Renfrew had said she had not slept with anyone else during her time of conception, and had also stated that she didn't just sleep with anyone randomly and especially unprotected. Mr. Tuzzi informs the court that Ms. Renfrew had someone else sign the birth certificate, to which Ms. Renfrew asserts, and gives her reasons for letting her ex sign someone else's kid birth certificate. Judge Lauren clarifies if her ex could potentially be her child's father, and she says no.
Tuzzi, you are certain you are not her child's biological father and say the truth will be revealed today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you intimate with anybody else during
No,
the window of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to. I don't just lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected. And when I do have sex with people...
Then why would you have another guy signing the birth certificate?
In a shocking or not so surprising turn of events, Ms. Renfrew had been lying about who her baby daddy might be and what had really happened during her period of conception, and Ms. Renfrew's lies, shamelessness, and smart mouth had gotten on Judge Lauren's nerves, and she let her have it.
Mr. Tuzzi, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Ms. Renfrew,
Yes, ma'am.
that's not your child's biological father.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am.
Look, little smart mouth. No, hold on. Cause you done got on my nerves now. Cause you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now.
7 years ago, when Christine was born, Mr. Miles stubbornly refused to be her father. Now, after a whole lifetime, he's gone crazy. He's going to prove that he's Christine's real father. But the real question is, will Christine accept him?
You don't believe Mr. Miles is your biological father?
I do not.
Explain.
I don't believe you're my father. My mom says you are not my father. You've been absent for 37 years. Why? Why now?
Your mom said that I was your father. Why she changed her story, I have no idea.
Back when Christine was born, her mother told Mr. Miles he was the father, but he wasn't ready to accept the responsibility. Now he's prepared, but the mother's changed her narrative. She's told Christine this man's claims are complete nonsense. Has she brainwashed her daughter?
When she found out she was pregnant, she never called you to say, I'm pregnant.
No, Judge, the only time I find out is when I came back. See, I left and I went to Florida, and then I came back, and when I came back, I got summons to go to court about being a father of a child that I had no idea.
Judge Lauren dives into the history of Mr. Miles' relationship with Christine's mother. He reveals how he was doing a lot of insane things at 17, and he dated the woman for 2 months. He thought they were committed to each other until he reveals she was sleeping around with all the men in town.
How did you find out she was also sleeping with
They
him?
told me, yeah, we were also sleeping with her at the time, which really upset me because I just had no idea that she was doing that.
Did your mother ever tell you anything about the relationship with Mr. Miles?
And she just kept on saying, he's not your father. I don't know why he's doing this now after 37 years.
For Christine, it's ridiculous that it took Mr. Miles 37 years to realize his mistake. She's the one who had to grow up without a father, and when her mother left, she ended up in foster care. Whereas for Mr. Miles, his biggest concern was all the child support he owed.
In 1992, we filed our taxes. Taxes came back and there's a letter. You owe like $28,000 in back child support. And that just shocked me. Like I said, I just didn't have a clue that was even there.
And you didn't try to find out then?
I did. Back then there was no internet and all I had was my family. So I had no way of getting contact to anybody except through my family.
So, did Mr. Miles and Christine finally meet? Well, when she saw the child support checks, her grandparents tried to mediate. They asked Mr. Miles over to their house and set up a meeting with Christine. They spent time together, but the moment of happiness was brief and turned into something crazy again.
Your experience, Miss Turner, was I arrive in this place, this man takes me, I spend time with him and his wife, he says he's my father, they drop me back off at home, and I never hear from him again.
That's right.
I didn't hear anything.
So why did you just disappear?
I didn't.
You can't try harder? If
I
that
did.
was my daughter, I would have tried.
After all that drama of trying to be a responsible father, what was Mr. Miles' excuse for walking away from Christine after uniting? He's got another unbelievable justification, and this time it's that he couldn't afford to visit Christine when he wasn't even sure if she was his daughter. Why didn't he get a paternity test back then?
It cost, it was like almost $1,000 to get a paternity test back then. I definitely didn't have that. Well, didn't know what was going on.
But what about just a telephone call? You didn't have a telephone number?
Didn't have a number. All we had was the grandparents.
Right, never got an answer from them. That's what I'm saying, it's like she just dropped off the face of the earth.
Despite all the crazy allegations, Mr. Miles still wants to step up as the father. If the results come back positive, for Christine, she just wants some closure in a life full of roller coaster moments. So, should Jerome finally bring out the envelope to announce the results?
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Miles, you are not the father.
We've had a connection ever since the day that I met her mom because she was born and her mama said I was the father.
Ms. Thorpe and Mr. Harris were in Judge Lauren's court to determine the paternity of Ms. Thorpe twin children. It was only 2 minutes into the court proceedings, and Judge Lauren was not having it with the adult parties of the case. Let's see why.
You say Mr. Morris's efforts to go behind your back blew up in his face, and you intend to clean up his mess today.
He posted all over social media and told everybody that the DNA test came back and that the kids were not his.
Did you also post, Mr. Morris, that you didn't do the test properly?
No.
To thicken the plot, Judge Lauren questions Ms. Thorpe on why she's not certain of who her child's baby daddy is, and she lets her know there's someone else in the picture, and she clearly had a feeling that Mr. Morris wasn't her baby daddy. This reply had the judge quite stressed out, as it was quite silly and ignorant to say the least. Feelings were not enough to establish or dispute the paternity of a baby, was it?
Hi, Miss Thorpe. Would you look at these two girls and you say you know for certain Mr. Morris is their biological father? Why would you tell them no?
Because we wasn't for sure at the time. I didn't want
So
to
you
tell
aren't
anyone's
sure?
father.
You aren't sure?
I mean, at the time, I didn't feel like I was sure, so I didn't want to have them call. And then he wasn't even around.
So wait a minute, who else could be their dad?
At the end of the day, Judge Lauren examines Ms. Thorpe, or rather confronts her on if she's certain of who her kid's father might be. And when she starts to stutter while attempting to craft what was no doubt a very long reply, the judge presses for a simple yes or no answer. She clearly doesn't know, and this sets Judge Lauren on a whole new rant on why they were both being very silly. Pan to the scene.
Do you know for certain if Mr. Morris is your twin's biological father? Yes or no? Do you know for certain?
No, Your Honor.
There. You all just been circling around this doubt, circling around this dysfunction, circling around all of this confusion. Trying to raise these babies? What's that little game you play when you little? What's that one where the music play and you just be running around? Musical chairs.
Musical chairs.
Mr. Calhoun was foolish when he fell into Miss Prout's trap that he was the father of her daughter, Amaya. But once he accepted responsibility as father, he discovered how she had been cheating on him, and now he's got a lot of crazy doubts in his head.
Mr. Calhoun, you say Miss Prout is pinning this child on you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Why?
Me and Miss Prout have been friends for a while, but when I seen that she wanted to make a relationship out of things, I cut her off, and I just kind of pushed away from her.
How did you cut her off?
I stopped calling, stopped answering her calls and texts, pretty much ignored her existence.
When Miss Prout realized that Mr. Calhoun just wanted sex, she decided to keep her feelings out of the relationship. According to them, they called it a situationship, where they just messed with each other. But sex has consequences, and Miss Prout ended up pregnant. What did she do then?
Me and a family member of his, we went to the store. I bought a pregnancy test. The next day, I told him and showed him the test, but we were both in disbelief.
That's not true, Your Honor.
We were both in disbelief, Your Honor, that I was pregnant. He said he didn't believe me, but he wanted a DNA test. So somewhere in there, you believed that I was pregnant because you wanted a DNA test.
When the results came positive, Mr. Calhoun got worried that Miss Prout was just trying to trap him into a scheme. How crazy is that? When she called him and told him she had some magical fertility medicine and that she got what she had wanted, Mr. Calhoun felt more scared than ever.
She had took fertility medicine to get pregnant by me.
I did not take any fertility pills. Once I found out I was pregnant, let me tell you how crazy. I went to about 4 or 5 different emergency rooms. They said I was pregnant. I'm still in disbelief. This is by September, and I conceived between July 21st and July 25th.
But even after Miss Prout submits her conception timeline as evidence, Mr. Calhoun reveals the crazy truth. She had been sleeping with another dude during that time as well. When Judge Lawrence sees Miss Prout smiling at this fact, she confronts her to admit the truth to the entire court.
I was having sex with someone, but it was 2 weeks prior I had stopped messing with somebody else because I knew I was going to run into him at the parties. At the end of the day, he really denied my baby because he on child support. Period. Point. That's it.
It has no.
It has been back and forth. Or one minute I'm the daddy, I'm happy, whoop-de-whoop blam. Then the next minute I'm not the daddy when you get hit with them papers.
So Miss Prout now has a huge, crazy reason as to why Mr. Calhoun is trying to rid himself of the paternity. It's because he doesn't want to pay child support. When the baby was born, Miss Prout manipulated Mr. Calhoun into coming down there and forced him to sign the paperwork.
So we're in there by ourselves. I told her I didn't want to sign without a DNA test. So she gets to basically making me feel like a bad guy. Like, you know you had unprotected sex with me. You know that's your daughter. I even look at the papers and see she didn't even have my last name as the daughter's last name. I had to tell her if this is my daughter you want me to sign, put my name on there.
But then, right after that, when Mr. Calhoun went grocery shopping, 2 men came up to him and confessed that Miss Prout's baby is theirs. All of these things started to make Mr. Calhoun have serious doubts. So, only the results can reveal the truth once and for all, now.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Calhoun, you are the father. Woo!
Wow.
Y'all don't know what I've been through with this man,
All right, we don't have to co-parent. I would like full custody of him.
Oh, no.